Right, so you can pick any two of these relationships and set them equal, and it applies to what type of triangles? Any triangle, but you usually will use it in a non-right, which are called oblique triangles. And now let's see what would happen if we used it in a right triangle. And so that's the first thing. What if I gave you let's say this triangle, and I wanted you to find all the remaining pieces of information. So if I said find the other two sides as well as the other angle. Okay. What's the easiest piece to find? Let's label this A, B, C with side A, side C. So we want to find angle A, and side C. The easiest thing is probably to find angle A, right? How can you find what angle A is? Tom? Okay, so you know that you can either use triangle sum and say that 22 plus 90, subtract that from 180, and you get your angle A. You could also use the concept that the acute angles in a right triangle are going to be what relationship to each other? Not equal, but complementary. They add up to 90, so they're going to be complementary. So what is the complement of 22? And so we get our angle A pretty easily. All right, what about side A? What if we want to find what side A is equal to? Okay, if you were to use law of sines, and now I'm telling you it's not the most efficient way to do it, and I'll show you why, but it is possible to use it. Okay, so if we take our unknown A over the sine of the angle opposite it, which is what measure? And that's going to equal here the sine of, or I'm sorry, the side and angle pair that we have. We have 7 over the sine of the angle opposite it. Okay, so if we multiply these through, okay, and we can calculate this 7 times the sine of 68, all divided by the sine of 22, gives us a length A of about 17.3. And then let's say we use the law of sines to find angle C as well. Okay, so if we take our unknown C over the sine of the angle opposite it, which is an angle of 90, set that equal to the same thing, 7 over the sine of 22. Okay, if you do this, what do you get when you take the sine of 90 degrees? Anybody have a calculator out? Sine of 90 degrees is a value of 1. Okay, and you guys, again, when you do unit circle stuff, you'll know that without having a calculator. Okay, but really, you're just looking at what is 7 divided by the sine of 22. And you get C is equal to about 18.69. Okay, and so these are your values. And so once again, you can use law of sines for this, but there's probably an easier way. Okay, and the easier way is, because you have a right triangle, what can you use instead of law of sines? You can just use your regular. Well, once we get one of the sides, we can use Pythagorean theorem. If we don't have this side, if we want to solve for A, what is A with respect to an angle, this angle of 22 and this side of 7? You have an angle, you have the side opposite, and you have the side adjacent. So can you use a trig ratio for that? T, the tangent of 22, is equal to opposite over adjacent. And so what you could do here is, if you multiply both sides by A, and then divide by the tan of 22, you can solve for A. A is going to equal 7 divided by the tangent of 22. So we get 17.33, which confirms. And if we wanted to find C, again, we could have done these 3 pieces. We have an angle, side opposite, and a hypotenuse. So which trig ratio would that be? Opposite and hypotenuse is? Sine of 22 is equal to opposite 7 over hypotenuse c. And again, just solve. Multiply by c, divide by sine of 22. And we get c is equal to, and here it's going to give you the same calculation. 7 divided by sine of 22, so we're going to get 18.69 once again. Okay. Again, it doesn't matter, but there will be times like this one right here where it may be easier or quicker to use a right triangle trig relationship rather than the law of sines. But you can use it for any triangle. It's generally used for oblique triangles. Okay, do you guys remember the patterns of information that we used to solve for a triangle using law of sines? There were 3 of them. And it was ASA, AAS. So again, the 2 patterns that involved 2 angles. And then the other one we haven't talked about yet, but do you guys remember which one it is? It's an SSA, and that's what we're going to talk about today and just go through why there are sometimes 2 possibilities if you're given information in the form of SS.